Welcome to the happy hours of coaching. This is your host Ashutosh once again with another topic. And this time I'm going to speak on design thinking. I know there are a lot of speakers on design thinking. I'm sure you would have heard about design thinking. You would have also attended courses on design thinking. But yeah, I'm trying to present my perspective on what design thinking is all about. What is the importance of design thinking, and why one should be using a design thinking, or what are the advantages of using a design thinking approach. So as I said, it will be my which I'm trying to bring out to all of you, right? And yeah, let us just deep dive into the session, and let us start with a small kind of icebreaker activity. Any idea what this picture is all about? Anyone can guess what is this picture all about? Any quick guesses on this? I mean, you can type in the chat box if that is fine. Just type in the chat box what this picture is representing, or what according to you is the picture all about. And it's okay, even if it is wrong, that's absolutely fine. Projector, cassette player. Okay, yeah, I think we all know. I mean, at least people who were born in 70s, 80s, and 90s would imagine this to be a cassette player, a projector. Okay, what else? What else? I mean, yeah, I mean, I am obviously that old, born in 70s, so I know that, yes, I mean, we had a lot of emotional connect with this product, right? Especially the tape recorder, right? And there was a very interesting meme the other day that our children will not understand the connection between a pencil and a cassette. But I think people born in that generation know about it, right? But yeah, so far I haven't got the right answer, to be very honest. None of you has given me the right answer. What exactly is this device all about? Anyone would like to try it out again? What this could be? Xerox. Okay, I don't see anything like related to Xerox here. What else? What else this can be? And yeah, people who are on LinkedIn Live can also give in their comments. They can also type in what according to you this product is all about, and what exactly it is trying to convey here. Folks are on LinkedIn Live. Okay, so we are saying VCR camera. Some people are closer. Okay, some people are closer. VCR camera. Okay, interesting. Nice to have that. VCR camera. What else? Anything else which is there? What you can think of? Okay, so let me reveal the product, and you'll be surprised to know about the product when you hear about it. This is the world's first digital camera, and it was developed by a company with which we have a lot of emotional connect, Kodak. Right, we all grew with Kodak, a Kodak moment, the pioneers in photography for almost 90 plus years, or in fact 100 plus years. And Steve Sasson developed, an engineer working in Eastman Kodak, developed this product, and it weighed 3.6 kilograms. Okay, just imagine your smartphone. It is not even, I think, 300 grams today, right? But this weighed a 3.6 kilogram. It had a 0.01 megapixel of resolution. It took a black and white photograph on tape. Okay, so I'm taking you back in a very anarchic time frame, right? I mean, 8 pound or 3.6 kgs of weight. So definitely it is much more bulkier than even a projector what we have today. 0.01 megapixel of resolution, and a black and white photograph on tape. In fact, it used to take 25 seconds for it to take a photograph on a tape. And today we are so desperate to have the photograph, right? I mean, we want to photograph something very early, right? I mean, even that timer what comes out, we are not happy, right? I mean, why it is saying 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, right? But that was what was this product which was developed. This was demonstrated to Kodak senior management, and as expected, the reaction was very cold. The reaction to this product was very cold from Kodak management. They actually literally said this, that this is a useless product. No one is going to buy this product. No one will buy such a useless product. Everyone likes to have photographs touch and feel. Remember, it was an era where photographs were, for a photograph to come out, there were two major ingredients which were required. One was the film, the negative film, and the second one was the paper on which the photograph were printed, right? So they said that everyone likes to feel and touch the photographs. No one would like to actually watch a photograph on a television screen. That was one of the comments which came out. Okay, no one would buy such a useless product. It's a waste of time. Immediately stop work on this exercise. It is not going to yield any benefit out of it, right? I mean, those were the things which came out in this discussion. And come 2001, Kodak officially became a bankrupt company. 2011, sorry, not 2001. So what happened? What happened in this era? You would have seen that lot of companies which were not even considered as competitors of Kodak suddenly brought in a product which was much better and much superior than what a traditional photography company like Kodak was having. The Samsungs of the world, the LGs of the world, the Apples of the world. In fact, many times I wonder, are these really mobile phone companies or are these camera companies, right? Today, if you and me go to buy a phone, I think the first thing we ask, even before asking the salesman, is that can it call? We ask the question, how much is the megapixel of the camera, right? This is the question we ask. At least I ask that question. I mean, I can't claim on behalf of everyone, but at least I ask that question that, okay, tell me the megapixel resolution. What is a front camera megapixel? What is a back camera megapixel? Does it have a motion photography in it? And here we have a company which actually was challenged in its own turf, right? A company which became bankrupt in 2011 because they could not survive the onslaught. Digital world took them by storm, right? And we have more and more such examples coming out, right? Nokia. There's a very famous quote by CEO of Nokia. We don't know what went wrong. I mean, how could we go wrong, right? I mean, that is a kind of a statement which they are making. A mobile company which was actually having almost 70-75% of market share just around 15 years back is nowhere today, right? I'm sure each one of us, when we go to buy a mobile phone, we don't even have a consideration of Nokia, right? I mean, we don't even think about Nokia as such, right? But today it's, I mean, 15 years back, it was, I think, on the zone of, I mean, one of the first preferred choice, which is there. So what went wrong? What happens with these companies? I mean, why do they falter? Or what are the reasons that they cannot survive the onslaught? Because one of the first things which these companies do is they don't identify their competitor. Many times we think that the competitor is from our industry, but gone are those days. Today we are in a world where competitor is not from my industry. Something similar happened to this product, right? Your father would be aware about this product, the razor and the blade model, what we call. So earlier when a person had to shave, he had to buy the razor separately, he had to buy the blade separately. Today we have a twin blade. So these companies are out of business. They're suddenly out of business, right? I mean, no one wants to be that fussy that, okay, I will first buy a separate razor and then I will go and buy a blade, which will actually help me to do a proper shaving. Today, we are in a world where it is a twin blade model, which is there, right? So what we see here is what worked yesterday is not going to work today, right? Over reliance. Yesterday's success is today's failure. Remember this, which is what happened with Kodak. Kodak thought that its competition was Fujifilm. Fujifilm was the next immediate competitor of Kodak. And in a zeal to fight with Fujifilm, they reduced the price of their photographic paper. They reduced the price of the films. But today we don't require films and photographic paper. Even movies, even the way movies are produced today, they are not on a film, a traditional film, right? And not negative film. They're all digitized. Like we have those small cassettes. I mean, I should not use the word cassette, but we have those sliders where the slots where those devices are kept. And your entire movie can be projected from a digital projector, right? You don't even need a traditional projector where you actually mount the reel and then those reels will rotate. No, I mean, gone are the days, right? So basically, over-reliance on your past laurel actually backfires many times. Yesterday was, as they say, yesterday was a history, today is a mystery, right? So come prepared today with a fresh outlook and with a fresh perspective. This is what I wanted to start with before even I introduce you to the topic of design thinking. Okay. Another very interesting quote. I mean, another interesting riddle. I mean, these are companies which are in varied businesses, as you can see. One is a breakfast cereal company, Kellogg's. One is a chocolate company, Hershey's. Then we have a medical company, Johnson & Johnson. aircraft manufacturer Boeing, white good manufacturer Whirlpool, and ubiquitous IBM there. Any similarities between these companies anyone can think of? There's a pattern which runs across these companies. What do you think is the pattern which is running across these companies? Any thoughts? There's something very, very similar, or a kind of a recurring pattern which is there. Anyone, any thoughts on this? They reinvented themselves. Okay, they reinvented themselves. That, yeah, I mean, yes, obviously they are known for innovation. All these companies are known for innovation. Like no one would have thought that when Kellogg comes in India, they would actually come out with a Kellogg's Upma or a Poha mix. People in India can easily relate that, but that's a reality today, right? They realize that in Indian market, probably the traditional breakfast cereals, yes, there is a clientele for that, but there's an equally strong clientele for people in South India, for example, to have a Upma. So they came out with Kellogg's Upma. People in Western and Central India, they came out with a Kellogg's Poha packet, right? That is one part of it. Hershey's also has innovated a lot. But you know what? The interesting thing is these companies are there in the Fortune 500 list without any absence from 1955 to 2017. They have not even missed a single year, right? Where they were not a part of the Fortune 500 list. So definitely they're doing things differently, right? They're doing the things in a different way. And as such, there are only 60 such companies, right? It's some interesting statistics. 88% of the companies who were in the list in 1955 no longer exist on this planet Earth. They've either gone bankrupt, they're merged with other organizations, or they've disappeared from the list altogether, right? Something interesting, right? 88%, that's a huge number. So definitely only 12% of the companies are there which were in the list of, which were in the original list and which are still there, right? So the very famous quote, winners don't do different things, they do things in a different manner, right? So that's a very important lesson what we are getting. Today's strength might be tomorrow's weaknesses, right? And every competitive advantage has a limited shelf life, right? So we have to remember the fact that yes, today we might be number one in an industry. Today we might be the topmost position in our world. But what changes, change can suddenly come in and we would be out of business, right? And look at these companies which are around us, right? I mean, they've completely transformed the landscape, right? Amazon, Uber, right? They don't own any of the cab, right? So the cab drivers thought that, you know what, our competitor is local players. No, it is a company which is sitting somewhere, which has got a digital platform, a digital infrastructure, and controls the entire cab, right? I mean, that's what we see, right? The traditional brick and mortar stores are slowly vanishing. In fact, they're predicting that in next 5 years, you don't even need a physical bank. You won't need a bank which has got, let's say, address, let us say MG Road, Bangalore, or let us say Connaught Place, Delhi. I'm just listing out some of the premium addresses of banks. Or let us say basically Anna Salai, Chennai, right? Or MG Road, Pune, right? You won't have banks at that location. In fact, it will be all virtual, right? It is all going to be digitized and it is all going to be virtual in next 5 years, right? So yes, I mean, there's already an alarm bell ringing that why should a bank invest in a real estate? Do they really need that much of a real estate to actually block their capital into, right? When things can happen, everything online, right? The other day, one of my public sector banks, my parents, their entire, so in a pension in India, they have to do a life certificate. This entire process happened on a video call. So what I'm trying to tell is, yes, every industry is innovating itself. And if we don't innovate, we are going to perish, right? We soon will be out of business. We soon will be out of the world of business where we are in. Okay, so now coming back to what is design thinking all about. Okay, let us understand what is design thinking all about, what is the significance of design thinking, and where exactly design thinking can be used, right? Let us try to understand this as we go along, right? What exactly is design thinking all about, and where exactly it can be used. Now, one of the very famous things about design thinking is it is based on this principle which this person actually talked about. We cannot solve problems by using the same kind of thinking we used when we created them, right? So you have to actually create problems in a different manner. Okay, so we have to think out of the box. We have to literally think out of the box to actually decide Okay, what can be that solution? What can be that wicked solution which will come out, right? I mean, there's a wicked problem. So even the solution has to be a wicked solution which will come out, right? So we can't solve problems by using the same kind of thinking with which we originally created the problem, right? So a very famous quote by Einstein is what we have here. And yeah, I mean, the same philosophy or the same principle has to be applied in design thinking. Now, it's a misconception that design thinking is something which is used in IT industry. No, design thinking has been used across the length and breadth of the industry, whether it is pharmaceutical, whether it is banking, whether it is chocolate manufacturing, whether it is IT, of course, whether it is aircraft manufacturing. Design thinking is something which has been used across the length and breadth. It has been used in armed forces also. Just to give you an example, this is one technique which has been used in 1976, even before it was known as design thinking. Those of you who would have watched this movie, Operation Enebbe, this is a movie which is based on a true incident which happened in July 1706. So one of the passenger aircrafts was hijacked and it was put in a remote area in Uganda. And the Israeli Defense Forces carried out a rescue operation, which actually lasted for just 53 minutes. This territory was located 4,000 kilometers apart from Israel. They could rescue 102 out of 106 passengers. Remember, it was an era where there were no Google Maps, where there was no smartphone. They actually they could rescue a group of passengers who were there. The highlight of this mission was a black Mercedes car. Now, I'm not going to reveal it in this program. If you want to know more about this, what was this black Mercedes car, do watch this movie. You will come to know what was the highlight of this mission. So they actually transported a black Mercedes car inside the aircraft for the terror, for neutralizing the terrorists. Anyone knows the story behind the black Mercedes? Anyone aware about the story? What exactly is this black Mercedes? I mean, that was the highlight. I mean, this was the man of the match in that entire operation, the black Mercedes car. If you don't know, just reach out to me one-on-one. I will talk about in detail what exactly was this black Mercedes. The movie name is Operation Enebbe. Enebbe is the operation, what it was called. You can Google it. You will get to know about this Operation Enebbe. And they had just had 4 days to plan out this operation in an era where there was no digitization, where there was no maps available. They just had 4 days to carry out this operation. And this is actually based on the principles of design thinking. Right. This is, I mean, yes, I'm not revealing the details of this operation. And by the way, I was not a part of that operation. Whatever information I've got is from that movie and from our good old friend Wikipedia. So that's where this information has been coming from. Yeah, I was just reading some of the comments which were there also on LinkedIn parallelly. Yeah, and I think some people are also writing on LinkedIn what exactly it can be. Okay, another interesting innovation example. I mean, from an Indian bank, I think you can easily make out, right? You why have 2 cards, right? I mean, in our wallet, we usually carry a debit card and we carry a credit card. They have combined it into one. So on left hand side, you have a debit card, and on right hand side, you have a credit card. And you can easily distinguish there are 2 different card numbers with 2 different chips enabled into this with a different CVV numbers and expiry date on them. Or it can be same also. I mean, I don't know the logic of it. It can be same also, right? I mean, this is another idea, right? I mean, why wait? I mean, why have 2 physical cards, right? I mean, there's a printing cost involved. There's a maintenance cost involved, right? So basically have that as 2 different, I mean, instead of having 2 different cards, just have 1 card which is there. Okay, moving ahead, another interesting example coming up your way. So this is a metro station in Sweden. And in this metro station, there was a staircase, there was an escalator. But you know what? People were all fighting to get the slot on the escalator. Okay, so they were not ready to actually walk the stairs. And they found out that actually the escalator was meant for old people. But it was all, whenever a train used to come, all the young people used to go on the escalator and senior citizens were unable to use the escalator. Okay, so that was one of the challenge which was happening. that all the senior citizens was left for the escalator to be empty, and it used to take a lot of time for the escalator to be made available for them. So what they did, they converted those steps into piano keys. And when they converted it into piano keys, what happened was that when you walk up the stairs, right, or when you walk down, it used to rhyme like a piano. Within 2 weeks of time frame, what happened was basically that the footfall of staircase increased, and the escalators were made available for senior citizens. Again, this is an innovative idea, right? This is a very, very innovative idea what we have. And as I said, it is a misconception that design thinking is only for IT. No, it is not for IT. I mean, it is in everyday life, day-to-day life what we have. We can actually come out with the design thinking approach, or we can actually go ahead and plan from a design thinking point of view. Now, let me show you another interesting example of design thinking, and an Indian example, right? I mean, we always say that Indians are bad in innovation, but that's not the case. Let me show you a very interesting example of innovation in India, in rural India. So this is an example of innovation. It actually come out with the design thinking approach. And let me know if you're able to see hear the voice and plan from a design thinking point of view. Now, let me show you another interesting example of design thinking.
Millions of women across rural India suffer from breast cancer, fibrocystic breast disease, and complications during pregnancy. Most of these cases are linked to an iodine deficiency. Supplements in the form of pills already exist, but women weren't in the habit of consuming them. So how do you give these women the required dosage of iodine? Across rural India suffer from breast cancer. Almost every Indian woman wears a bindi, and a traditional symbol of beauty. But what if these tiny little dots are linked to an iodine deficiency? What if they could save lives? Pills already exist. Talwar Bindis, in association with Neil Vasant Medical Foundation and Research Center, introduced the life-saving dot, Jeevan Bindi, almost an idea that transformed bindis into iodine patches. Every woman requires between 50 to 220 micrograms of iodine daily save lives. During the course of the day, these bindis dispense that amount to the wearer. Specially created, these life-saving dots were distributed to women across rural India, an idea that transforms via health camps and iodine patches. Every woman in a nation of 500 million women, 220 micrograms. These tiny little dots were no longer just a symbol of beauty. They now spelled the difference between life and death. Specially created, these life-saving dots were distributed to women across rural India,
worn like a bindi,
via health camps and every woman in a nation of 500 million women, 220 micrograms. These tiny little dots were no longer just a symbol of beauty. They now spelled the difference between life and death.
I'm pretty sure that
These life-saving dots are distributed to women
across
across rural
worn like a bindi,
the iodine deficiency of women, right? How do we improve it, right? How do we improve it?
In a nation of 500 million women,
should I set a reminder on the
these
mobile?
tiny little dots were no longer just a symbol of beauty.
Maybe not that
They now
penetration
spelled the
levels as we
difference
have. So I think you
between
saw the
life
video, right? Or should I actually ask the paramedics consultant actually call everyone to the center? But this idea, right? I mean, I'm sure this is a path-breaking idea, right? This is a very, very path-breaking idea what I see as a part of this. Okay, yeah. Okay, but I set a reminder. You're hearing
These tiny little dots were no longer just a symbol of beauty.
Is it better now? Is it better now? Is it better now? I hope it is better now. Yeah. Okay. So what I was telling was this was a path breaking idea, right? I mean, if you and I would have been there, what would have happened is that we would have thought about that, okay, let's increase the medicine dosage, right? Let us try to make sure that basically the doctors inform the patients, right? Or daily we have basically a talk, daily we call the patients to the clinic, right? So those are the things what we would have thought, right? But having an iodine patch done, right? I mean, that's a unique path breaking idea, right? No one would have thought about it, right? I mean, that's the power of design thinking, right? I mean, you think outside the box. You think something which is not in the normal way of thinking, right? You think outside the box is what you need to do from a design thinking approach, right? So it's basically a wicked problem needs a wicked kind of thinking. Okay, so it needs a wicked amount of thinking is what a wicked problem actually needs, right? So that is the whole motto of design thinking. Okay, so that's what we have it as a part of the design thinking. What is there? Okay, so that is what we say as a part of the design thinking approach or a design thinking philosophy, right? And obviously, it's all about the mindset change. At the end of the day, it is about the mindset change what we have, right? And yes, I mean, one very famous quote from Albert Einstein also, the difference between stupidity and genius is that genius has got its limit. So think stupid, be stupid, right? And think outside the box, think beyond the box, right? That is what we say, right? I mean, think out of the box is what we say, as they say, right? Stupidity has got no limits, right? So think as much stupid as you can, and you might be able to come out with a mindset change. You might be able to come out with a revolutionary product which is there. Now, coming to the standard definition of design thinking, I think everyone knows about it, that it's a non-linear approach. It's an iterative process in which the teams try to understand what are the pain points of the user, how do we address those pain points, and come out with innovative solutions to prototype and test, right? So it's a human-centered approach which is mindful of the process, and it is more about prototyping. So you have to demonstrate something. It is not just about talking or drawing. It is about prototyping and showing it to the customers and getting a quick feedback from them, right? Getting a quick feedback from the customers is what we call as the design thinking process. It has got a 5-phased approach, which is heavily biased towards action. So one of the important things from design thinking is that there's a bias towards action, of what we call it, right? So whatever we do, it has to be, it has to result in a prototype, or it has to result in an action what will come out. And it involves a lot of collaboration. So it involves radical collaboration between various stakeholders. So that's predominantly the design thinking approach, what we call it. And as I said, it is something which is especially useful and helpful for solving wicked problems. So wicked problems are those problems which cannot be, which do not have a straightforward solution. Okay. I mean, before COVID-19, if you ask me personally, I thought that a wicked problem is only how to solve Bangalore's traffic problem. But COVID-19 changed all my notion about it. Yeah, that's on a lighter side. And as I said, it's a 5-stage approach which is there, which is applied across the length and breadth of industry. So whether you take armed forces, whether you take real world Dudwala, the person who gives us milk, this photo became very viral. The other photo, what I'm showing you, it became very viral during training. Like, a teacher, a primary school teacher taking, taking classes online. I'm talking about a 2-year period before when lockdown suddenly came up. This is a very innovative way of taking class. She has got a notebook below her, and the Zoom meeting she has connected through the mobile phone, right? And then she's reading the notes, and at the same time she's looking at the students, right? So that's another interesting way, right? I mean, that these all call for thinking out of the box. Paytms of the world, or Ubers of the world, or even the consumer goods of the world, they all use design thinking, or in one way or the other is where design thinking is used, right? So that's what yes. And of course, the history behind this is coming from this model, which is called as the IDEO's 3 lenses of innovation. So are you aware about IDEO's 3 lenses of innovation? What exactly this model is all about? What is this model all about? IDEO's 3 lenses of innovation is a model which says that for a product to be innovative, it needs to it should be in that sweet spot of business viability. That means business should get money out of that product. People should desire that product, and technologically it should be feasible. If these 3 things are missing, then your product won't be an innovative product. Your product will fail the innovation quadrant, as they say: viability, desirability, and feasibility. So those are the 3 elements of design. For a product to be basically be sold in the market, or if you want a product to be sold as such. So those are the things of what we need to do from a design thinking approach. And yes, of course, there's a 6-stage approach which is there. empathize, define, ideate, prototype, and test. So those are the 6 stages of your design thinking approach. So in empathize, we try to understand the pain points of the customer. What exactly is the pain point they are facing? Then we try to define the problem, right? So we conduct all our research and we try to define the problem and then try to understand, okay, what exactly is this problem all about? We tend to ideate through various solutions. So we try to come out, okay, will this be a possible solution or will this not be a possible solution? That is what we try to do. Then we try to prototype it, right? We try to build a prototype or a working model around it. So that's what we do as a part of prototyping. Test the prototypes. Obviously, testing is something which is very, very vital and important. So we test it, and finally we are going to deploy it, or finally we are going to implement the product, right? So this is the step approach. This is what we call as the step approach for a design thinking process. It is not at all a linear process. It is basically an iterative process what we have. So for example, from define we might come back to empathize, or from prototype we might come back to ideate, and from ideate back to define. So it's basically what we call as the design thinking process of what we have, or basically the linear, an iterative process to solve wicked problems. And as we said, right, I mean, wicked problems require wicked solutions also. So even the solutions have to be very, very wicked in nature is what we were discussing, right? And yes, there are certain tools around it. So if you want to empathize, there are certain tools around empathize it, right? There are user journey maps. Then basically you have the user canvas, etc. Define also, there are tools around it. Of course, that this is itself a vast topic by itself. Understanding each of these tools, understanding what exactly each of this tool does through. But the final objective is that we make sure that the customer has been brought into the solution. The customer is buying the solution, and the customer is going to basically make sure that the solution is something which is bought in by the customer. Okay. Yeah. In subsequent weeks, I will be covering about these design thinking tools. So I mean, as I said, each one of them is actually a day, a day-long session, if you ask me. I mean, if you want to learn about prototyping, it's a day-long session, testing day-long session, ideating day-long session, right? But in the upcoming weeks, I will be talking about, I will be having a webinar scheduled on each of these areas, whether it is empathize, define, ideate, prototype, test, and implement. So these will be the webinars which I will be setting up. So on this note, I will take a pause here, and I will now open the floor for any questions which are there. In any case, before I open the floor for questions, those of you who are on LinkedIn Live or on YouTube Live, you can type in your questions there, and I will answer those questions in an offline mode later on, since you're not live in the class. And yeah, one more request, do subscribe to my YouTube channel. If you're looking to crack interviews, do watch those 100+ videos which are there on various topics. I'll be sharing the link with all of you here in the chat box. So do watch my videos on the YouTube channel. There are more videos, more content going to come up in subsequent days. So this is the video link which I'm putting it here. And now I'm opening the floor for any questions. So just give me a minute. It will take a minute for me to open up the floor for any questions which anyone has. Okay, so I'm just opening up the floor for questions now. Even Mumbai also, for that matter. So they have stopped this procedure. Okay, I have opened the floor for questions, so you can now unmute yourself and you can speak. Yeah, you can now unmute yourself and you can speak now, especially people who are on the Zoom meeting. Anyone, any questions? Please unmute yourself and you can ask the question.
So, Ashutosh, Kamal here.
Yes, yes.
So, Ashutosh, I know you did not speak about similarities or differences with how we deliver solutions using Agile, but so that's an open-ended question actually. So if you think that we try to put it with what we do within the Agile delivery model, where we also try to take frequent feedback, how do you think it fits there?
Okay, so one interesting thing I wanted to tell you, and I don't know if I've been successful today. Actually, I had made a resolution, okay, that I won't use the word agile in the class. Okay, that was a resolution I had made in this entire session. But now, since you're talking about agile, yeah, I mean, obviously, agile is about adaptive way of working. It is about continuous feedback, continuous improvement. So definitely, design thinking. What I'm trying to tell, or rather, not what I'm trying to tell. What experts are telling is that this is already a proven methodology which is there, which talks about continuous improvement, relentless improvement, continuous feedback, inspect and adapt. So it already talks about those techniques. So I would say that yes, it has been in existence much before agile came into existence.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. Anyways, thanks for asking that question, Kamal.
Yeah, thanks, Ashutosh.
Yeah, anyone else? Any questions?
Ashutosh, Sumana here.
Yeah.
Wonderful session to start with. However, I work in a bank, and even though they are embracing agility, it's not in full term. Even like they have some constraints, because of which you see that there is a lot of gap between the business and the dev team. Probably the ones who are very closer to the product when developing are the teams. So when it comes to design thinking, how do you think that we can bridge that gap much smaller?
Yeah, so there are some tools, as I told you, right? There are a lot of tools available. So you'll have to basically have a collaborative session between business and IT. You have to bring the two people together. And in coming weeks, as I said, right, I will be covering those tools. So basically, it's all about collaboration. How quickly can we collaborate? How quickly can we bring about that culture which is there, right? So that's what is important here. I mean, from a design thinking perspective. So basically, you have to enable that exchange or that handshake between business and IT. I mean, when I say you as a transformation leader, you as a coach, you as a design thinking professional, you are the person who will have to bring the two sides talking to each other. That is how you will have to do it. And yes, it's not easy thing to do. It will take a lot of time, and especially in a regulatory environment like bank, it is definitely going to take a lot of time to bring about that culture mindset and a change.
Okay, thank you, Ashutosh.
Yeah, sure. Thanks, Tumana. Yeah. Anyone else? Any questions? Okay.
Ashutosh, if no other questions, just a quick comment on that example that you showed where the teacher was using those boxes and showing it. So this is also equivalent to what we have been calling Jugaad all along. So
yes,
yeah, okay.
Yes, exactly. I mean, there's a book on Jugaad, by the way. I hope you know that, right? I mean, there's a book on Jugaad available.
Yeah. I've read that.
Yeah. So yeah, it is Jugaad at the end of the day. Yes, I mean, we call it Jugaad in the local Indian language. Yes, we call it as a Jugaad, or basically something which we try to do a quick fix or a workaround. I mean, a Jugaad is another name for a workaround, what we call it. But yes, that is a Jugaad, what we say. That's absolutely right.
Okay, thanks.
Ashutosh, can I?
Yes, go ahead, Datta. Yes.
Yeah, so Jugaad is an adjustment, but design thinking is a very established way of doing the things, and probably it leads you to the solutioning. So step by step, if you go in Jugaad, many times we take shortcuts and all that, but here the steps what they have designed and all that, of course, it is also an old method, but this is a mindful way of doing the things so that you can nothing miss and go into solutioning approach.
Yeah, but even in Jugaad, I mean, what is agile principle? Simplicity, the art of maximizing the work not done is essential. That is what is Jugaad, what I feel.
Correct.
Yeah, I mean, that is exactly what is Jugaad. The simplicity, the art
Correct.
of maximizing the amount of work not done is Jugaad, what we say.
Yes.
I have pinged a book. I think someone requested for the name of the book. So I have pinged a book in the chat. You can have a look at it. It is available on Amazon. So you can go ahead and buy that book.
What is the name?
Jugaad Innovation Hardcover. It is available on Amazon. I have pasted the link in the chat.
Okay.
Ashutosh, I have a question.
Yes, Prathamesh,
Yeah,
yes.
so Yeah. So in the beginning, we have discussed one of the failure model for Kodak side. That is some innovation that has come up. Later we discuss the stupidity and genuinity. So I correlate with this actual process. So there are two things. One is the innovation, and another is the methodologies. So
Sorry, what is the another one? I couldn't hear the another one.
The methodologies, we can say the agile and the manufacturing methodologies, lean, Kanban. So in the methodologies, your just stupidity or innovation has no value as such. I have seen in my past experience. So is there any way that you can come? Is there any balanced solution in the methodologies where you can have a proper value of innovative ideas in it?
No, I mean, I don't agree with the statement that methodology doesn't have a scope for innovation. I mean, where did you find that? I mean, which methodology are you talking about?
So any kind of manufacturing methodology, they do not have an innovative idea because they go by process, and there are
agreed, but there are process improvement initiatives. No, the entire Toyota production system has been built on innovation, right? It has been built on Kaizen, continuous improvement. It has been built on, I mean, waste reduction, waste identification, waste reduction, the 7 wastes of production. So definitely it is based on innovation. I mean, I won't agree with the statement that there's no innovation. I mean, innovation is heart of every industry. You take any industry, it is innovation.
Okay.
Yeah. So please be on mute if you're not speaking. Yeah. So yeah. I mean, the innovation is the backbone of every, I would say, industry. So I won't agree with the fact that, I mean, it is not given its importance. You take even the group like Tata's or Hyundai's of the world, right? I mean, when we talk about manufacturing world, innovation is something which is a part and parcel of their DNA, right? I mean, otherwise they won't survive in the world today.
Yeah. But in process, there are very less innovations. Those are product-based innovation. But process-based innovation, I haven't, I mean, hardly seen in the manufacturing industry specifically. So,
no, even from a process based, there are like, I mean, I don't have examples right away to give, but definitely there are a lot of examples on that also. Like, how do we make the process more efficient, or how do we reduce wastage? How do we get basically the material plan, right? I mean, there are processes around it. I mean, the material resources planning and all those things.
Okay.
Okay. Any other question anyone has? Okay. Yeah, I do see a lot of questions on LinkedIn, but as I said, I will answer them in an offline mode as we go ahead. Yeah, and yeah, in the coming weeks, we will have more such sessions, more speakers being called in. So we'll definitely have speakers coming in, and we'll be talking about it on more varying topics. I'll also try to come out with tools, various tools on design thinking, how we can leverage those tools. So if there are no further questions, I think we can close the session for the day. Wishing you all a very happy weekend. Thanks a lot for joining the session. And I always believe that have you earned a roti today, right? What is roti? Anyone remembers roti? I had covered it in my previous session. Roti is an acronym, return on time invested. So you are not free here. Okay, this is not a free session. You might be thinking that you have paid nothing and attended this session. No, you have invested one valuable asset, what you have. You have actually spent that today, 1 hour of your time, or rather 40 minutes of your time is what you have spent with me. So I hope you earned roti today. Roti is a return on time invested, right? I have written an article on that. You can read that article. What is roti all about? But once again, thanks for investing your time in me, and looking forward to interact with all of you in future. So bye for now, and have a great weekend ahead. Thank you very much, and bye for now. Bye.
Thanks, Ashutosh.
Thanks. Yes.